Are you on edge?
Come on.
We live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs bi-monthly on MaximizeU.life and iTunes. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and courageous conversations about pushing boundaries, exploring our rough edges, and walking between the worlds of what is and what is yet to be. Join me, Sandra Bargman, on the edge of every day on MaximizeU.life. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandra Bargman, and welcome to the Edge of Every Day, now at MaximizeU.life. Are you a change maker? Do you walk between worlds, between cultures, between systems? If you answered yes to any of these questions, the Edge of Every Day is the place for you. In a nutshell, this podcast is about pushing boundaries and exploring rough edges. Through conversations and shared stories with friends and colleagues, it's my hope that we can begin to understand our edges. And what I mean by edges is those places where we are fearful, those places where we are resistant to change, those places where paradox and contradicting identities live in our beliefs and in our understandings, both individually and collectively. We live in edgy, challenging times. We cannot keep looking away from the ugly, from the difficult. And silence is no longer an option. Life isn't black or white, it's both, and I want to talk about that. I want to face the tension of paradox, and I want to engage in the hard conversations. I want to explore the rough edges between our light-filled brilliance and our dark, shadowy corners. Because the more we recognize our own edges and get real about them, the more we can help others to do the same. And that, I fully believe, can help to change the world. So, thanks for tuning in. Today, we are live in the Hive with Canada-based medium and psychic, Angel Morgan. In this episode, we focus on connection through intuition and connection across the veil. We'll be exploring the development of our own intuitive gifts. Psychic ability is not only not woo-woo, it is our birthright. And by learning to tap into it intentionally, it becomes extremely helpful in addressing our current levels of societal and cultural polarization, as well as being necessary for our next step in expanding our global consciousness. So without further ado, it is time to introduce our guest. Angel Morgan is a renowned psychic, medium, and animal communicator, celebrated for her 25-year journey. With global acclaim, she connects with loved ones past, communicates with animals, and taps into spiritual guides both on stage and through private sessions. Through her gifts, she brings closure and fosters self-awareness and love. Angel uses her platform to share teachings from diverse cultures encountered on her adventures, enriching lives with wisdom and compassion. Angel has made a name for herself both on the screen and on stage, as well as on the airwaves. Her regular appearances on News Talk 1010 for 7 years, her TV show, Raising Energy on Rogers TV, and her engaging presence on social media have made her a well-known household name throughout North America. As a facilitator for families privately or through media and for companies across the world, Angel is highly sought after for her unique and unparalleled approach. With extensive training under medicine people from a variety of cultures, Angel is a gifted healer who offers a range of services, including condor feather healing, animal Reiki, house clearings, and fire ceremony. Her approach to readings is grounded in her role as a healer, using her intuition and psychic abilities to lead individuals to their most authentic selves. Angel Morgan, welcome to the Edge of Every Day.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having me, Sandra.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Yay, me too. Well, folks, you might gather from just how we said hello to one another that we do, in fact, know each other and our friends. I like to share with my listeners, Angel, how we know each other. So I can tell the story, you can tell the story.
You go for it. Go for it. Go
Okay,
for it.
both Angel and I are contributing writers for an online magazine publication, Opal Rising magazine. And we were introduced through the publisher, Cindy DeJager. Very sad news that it's no longer, as of this month, the magazine is no longer. You didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she sent out an email that May would be the last. Very sad to say this on air, but
You're doing so well.
I know, but it just unfortunate, publications are really to make the
I'm
shift.
literally heartbroken. I have had so many people who love that magazine.
Yeah, me
Your
too.
Angels, My Angels Animal Corner, like there was just so much in it. That's
It's
heartbreaking.
absolutely heartbreaking. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I thought you had known already, but I'm bad
Well,
news for both you and our listeners, and because it was such a the people who read my articles. Anyway, we send our very best to Opal Rising and to Cindy, but anyway, I met Angel through that, and I reached out to her. I was just getting my my second kitty, Sebastian. And when I saw that Cindy had brought on Angel Morgan as an animal, she was like the Dear Abby of Opal Rising
yeah,
magazines.
that's I was a Dear Abby of animals. That's what I was saying.
Totally. Well, I reached out to her and said, "Listen, I am getting a new cat. I want a little reading, and let's chat." We're both, and that's what we did. You
And
talked
we just
to,
got on. Like
yeah, we just got on.
like,
Yeah,
wow, it was unbelievable. Like the connection. And we have so much in common. Like it's not just the spirituality of who we are. As a woman, I absolutely adore everything about you. But even theatrically, like as performers and creatives, like I have a background in theater. I was trained as a classical actor in Shakespeare and his contemporaries in my early evolution of Angel. And I literally thought that that's, well, we'll get into that, but yeah, so that's one of the connections that you and I have. Like we have just so many levels of
totally
parallel,
separated at birth.
right?
Well,
Right?
yeah, I do. Well, and I love that the truly the innate understanding of the creative life, the imagination, and the spiritual life, all of those. And as I love to
Those are
say,
all one and the same,
yeah,
right?
they're all one and the same.
They're all taught.
We don't compartmentalize them. Some people do, but it's all. And as I like to say in all of my work with my leadership as well, it's all about know thyself. All of those journeys is all about know thyself.
Well, it's interesting. Ben Kingsley once said in the Actors Studio that, actors are a tribe of psychics. And I remember hearing this as a teenager. He said, it's our safe way of expressing our intuitive abilities. It's our practical way of doing that. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing I'd ever heard, but I wasn't on this path at the time, but it stuck with me.
Oh,
Right. And
totally.
growing up, I had all these little things that would stick with me that now I kind of go, oh, that makes so much sense now.
I
Okay.
love that. Well, I've said that a million times. I popped out of the womb being both creative at singing and acting and dancing and all of that, and being the kid in the corner. I've said this a million times. I mean, the one with the antenna and the spiritual sensitivity. But I felt safe sharing all of that on stage,
Right.
in my family even. So
Right.
yeah, I love that. I had not
And
known
it's
about
such,
that fantastic quote by Ben Kingsley.
Well, it's so cool because when you're on stage, you're sharing energy
Yeah,
with
totally.
other actors. You're sharing the energy with those people out in the audience. And what's really, really neat is that, you know, you walk in one human being when you go to see a show or a film or read a book, you know, and when you're finished that book or you've seen that play or you've listened to that piece of music, you're a whole other human being, whether you realize it or not,
Yeah.
because
The
you're healing.
energy exchange, it's like
Yeah, you
mutual.
heal. It's healing. It's a form of healing. Theater, performance, creativity, it's a form of healing art. It's
Totally.
how we heal ourselves. You know, the most direct connection to the gods is through dance and song.
And I talk all about that in Sacred Stages, that is, we are channeling the gods and the goddesses.
Right?
Yeah, totally. It's communion. Theater is communion.
It is. And I
And
love that you said that's a beautiful way of saying it. Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, so I like to ask my guests, lead, my first question is, what identity do you lead with?
What does that even mean? What do you mean
Great
identity?
answer. What does it mean?
What does that even mean? So I was in New Orleans last June, last June. Oh my God, it's almost been a year now. And I was with Priestess Miriam, and she is a well-revered voodoo priestess in New Orleans in the French Quarter. And she asked me, she said, what do you call yourself? And I said, well, I guess I'm a psychic. And she turned and she laughed at me and she goes, but are you, she goes, do we really have a label? Do we really, you know, it's that, you know, going beyond. And we sat for 2 hours and talked about that. And, you know, I felt like a little kid in front of this woman who was just so learned and so spiritual and so wonderful. And,
Mm,
and by the end of it, she made me feel like I was somebody that was equal to her understanding, which I clearly
of
was not.
course.
And
Oh,
it was an amazing experience because I realized, and I knew this before, but it was just kind of drilled home by an elder that we don't have a label. We don't really we identify as human, right?
it's
We
all
identify,
structure.
yeah, whatever you want to, and I have a really hard time with that, especially with publicity, because like, do I put in my psychic? Am I a medium? And I'm a communicator? What am I? My favorite term though is realm walker, and I love that term. I don't use it publicly, but it is because
Hmm,
I do more than just talk to the dead, and I do more than speak with animals. So one of the things that I am versed in, which very few people on my walk are versed in, is I can walk the different worlds where I can
hmm.
walk interdimensionally and I can walk with creatures and I can walk with past lives. So I had a show, and you can actually see this on my Instagram. Somebody was smart enough to actually catch this moment. And I had a woman in the audience and she said to me, I'd like to know if any of my past lives are with me and have anything to tell me. I never heard that question before. And I
Hmm.
thought, well, that's really cool. And all of a sudden, this girl, this young girl from the 17th century showed up, 16 something, I can't remember what it was. And she looked like a goody in Salem, like, you know, one of the goody wives.
Oh, yeah.
And she was young. And she said, she said to me, and I was relaying this, that she needed to be a midwife and that she needed to understand to put poultices together and herbs and that. And I said, well, how that would translate in our time is naturopathy or homeopathy. And she was laughing. Her mom was laughing. And I said, this resonates. And she looked at me, she goes, I'm a nurse and I'm leaving my job and I'm wondering if I should become a midwife or a doula and whether I want to go with naturopathy or homeopathy. And it was just like you see this in the instant, I'm like, yes. And it's a wonderful moment because it not only drills home for the audience how real these things can be, but
Hmm.
for me, it's a validation of spirit, but it's also a validation that it's not just about the dead. You know, there's so many limitless places and things and areas of the universe that we can tap into, and that's something that I always say is the only limitations we have are the ones we place on ourselves. And
Hmm.
so I, in this particular realm, have very few limitations as to where I can go and how I can get there, and that's exciting. It's really exciting for me.
I love that. I realm walker.
Yeah.
Okay, please start calling yourself that. Please.
Yeah, people won't understand. It's like,
Oh,
Angel,
I think, well, I know
oh,
it's kind of like, but that's like Edgewalker for me.
yeah,
You
very much.
know,
Yeah, very much so. It's very
abs
Star Wars. Very Star
well, but I think there's also an embrace of, and I went through this when I also named my company Sacred Stages. I think that I think you and I are very similar. I'm a reluctant leader, and I've talked about this in other podcast guesting. I think there's a sense of not wanting to be non-hierarchical with all the things that we do, but I also think that there's and you as a teacher, you know, you spend every moment teaching. I think saying realm walker, calling yourself that, opens the door for more teaching, and the way that I've embraced saying edgewalker. That was
No, I
really
think I,
kind of bizarre for me to call, like people would be like, "What? What's that?" And but then for me to articulate what that is, it helped me to really get myself as well as what I
to
do in the
define,
world. Yeah.
yeah, define yourself. And I guess, yeah, I guess I can always say medium, animal communicator, the realm walker. Um,
Bum, bum, bum,
I feel like I should be wearing a matrix
yeah.
jacket, like no big long matrix
Yeah,
jacket.
the right sunglasses. Oh, totally.
Right,
Oh
right.
my God, that's fantastic. Oh, well, you've and my second question that I always ask everyone is what worlds do you walk between? I'd say you answered that.
Pretty
And we'll
much.
continue to answer that. Ah, but I really wanted to put a bow on what you said about, and I loved your question back. What it even is that? That's why I love to ask this question,
Yeah.
is for people to unpack what identity even means. What does that even
Yeah,
mean?
because
Like, do I
to
have
me,
an
that's a
identity?
momentary thing. That's a
Well,
momentary thing because
sure. Or it's an ego construct, or it's a societal construct, or
yeah, because I mean,
lots of
your
different
mom
things.
1 second, your mom 1 second, your friend the next second, the spirit walker and the realm walker the next
Right.
second. It for me, identity is the moment.
Yeah.
Identity really is the moment. And a friend of mine taught me that. She's a healer. And she said to me, because I asked her, I said, what am I? I said, am I a feng shui practitioner? Am I a healer? Am I a psychic? Am I an email communicator? And she goes, why can't you just be what you were
Yeah.
needed in
What,
the
who
moment?
you are. Yeah. Well, that's why I love that question, is to
Yeah,
watch
that's a
how
great.
people navigate it. And it helps others listening to see how would I navigate that?
Mhm.
And what does that even mean to me?
Yeah.
It was glorious, a glorious answer. Okay, so let's dive in. I'm gonna just drop this now. We're gonna get to this, but I'm gonna ask about Angel's background. But Angel is coming to my place in the Catskill Mountains. I'm gonna just lay this out here right now, more
I
at the
don't know if I'm more
beginning of
excited
the
for the
episode.
act skills or to see you. I don't know which one yet. I'm like, I get to actually hold you and touch you and hug you.
Right. Right. Angel and I have only met on Zoom. You would expect, by the way we banter, that it was more than that, but no, we're going to meet each other in person. So Angel is doing her 25th anniversary tour to the United States, making her New York City debut at the Triad Theater on 72nd. It's a gorgeous old off-Broadway theater. It's a fantastic energy, a fantastic space, the whole 9 yards. But before she does that on June 7th, Friday, June 7th, she'll be
Yeah,
at the Triad in New York City. She's going to be at my salon space, my salon venue in the Catskill Mountains, the Plum at Traver Hollow House on the 1st of June. That's a Saturday. 6:30, we'll have milling about and light bites and spirits, and then we will get into our spirited conversation with Angel. We're going to swing back around to that, but I wanted to lay that out closer to the front of this episode. And then we'll talk more about that closer to the end of our discussion. So what do you need?
you can get tickets for both shows at raisingenergy.com on my
Okay,
site.
excellent. Right. And excellent. And, or you can, if you want to go also to the Plum, you can get ones through the Eventbrite that I've created for those of you who are listening that will go to just the Plum. But But yes, go to raisingenergy.com. You can get tickets to both the plum and to the triad.
Yeah, and the plum link that I used is the one to the main site, so you can get tickets for all the
The
shows.
Eventbrite.
Yeah, the Eventbrite.
Right.
Yes,
Great.
all the
Excellent.
shows.
Excellente. All right. So I want to tell the story to our listeners of how you discovered this gift. I mean, I know that you were raised Catholic. What, how did you start to know this about yourself, to know that you had these abilities and what that even meant to you?
I actually had this conversation with my mom this week because my timelines were off apparently. I'm taping a new television show for a pilot for a potential series on animal communications, and so I had to go to my mother because they wanted an intro, and we were talking, and she goes, Angel, she goes, your first vision wasn't at 6. And I said, what? And she goes, or 7. She goes, it was at 4 and 5 years old. I said, what? And she goes, yeah. She said, you actually, I saw my great aunt. I was in that in between, the theta state, and I was in the in between place. And I remember seeing my great aunt, and she was tall, a beautiful woman with a bun in her hair, and she had a black morning gown on with a veil, and she was standing by this tree. And I now understand the tree to be the tree of life. And it was like hot summer day with cicadas, and it was beautiful. And I woke up, and my mother was crying as she was coming up the steps, and I knew what she was going to tell me. And she told me, and I said, well, I know. And she goes, well, what do you know? And I said, I know she passed. And she goes, how? And I told her, and she said, you don't say anything. Don't say anything. You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything. You don't know anything. And I kind of went, oh, and she just turned around, walked away, and left my little 5-year-old self with this. And so that was kind of confusing. And I spent most of my childhood incredibly confused, because when I was 6, I was in an accident, in a car accident. And we now understand through this conversation we've had in the last few weeks that this is where everything really started. It actually intensified my abilities because I was the only one hurt. I was very fortunate that I lived and in this car accident. And after that, that's when my mother said I started getting weird. And I went, okay, that's cool. And so weird is a badge of honor for me. And so,
Yes.
um,
That's your
I
identity.
that is my identity. That is the catch-all. That's right. That's for I am weird.
Yes. What's your identity? I'm weird.
Psychic medium, weird. Weirdo. Um, so yeah, so after that, everything intensified and I could feel more, I could see more, I could hear, I just knew things. My mother and my grandmother, my dad's side, didn't get on very well. And when she passed away, the day she passed, my mother told me, and this well of joy and happiness and relief came up to the point where I literally had to turn away and go, and I was laughing. And I knew, even as a child, I knew this wasn't mine. I knew this was my mother's because of the relief she felt, because of the relationship they had. And she looked at me, she's like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know, nothing. It's okay. And I remember just leaving it like that. So I had many moments with my family like that growing up. But it wasn't until I started becoming more athletic, skiing, mountain biking, doing that kind of stuff and getting outdoors that I started to experience the depth of my abilities and clarity, the goddess Hecate and the really creepy stuff. And I started to wonder, where does this come from? And I'm Maltese. So I thought, okay, let's start there because I love cultural history. And I started to learn that Malta is an ancient island and there were people there before even the people that are there now. And they have the temples of Tarshin, the 28 temples of fertility and the pagans that are there. And it just goes well back before Catholicism and when St. Paul came and converted the island. And so the deeper I went, the more interested I was in the island's magic. And then that led from one thing to another, to another, to another, until I found this wonderful store called the hedge witch. And you have to understand too, I had a real problem with making friends with women. Women to me were catty. They were just really not, I never had that support system, that feminine support system. So I just had no, I was that token girl with the guys at school. I was that, that tomboy. So when I found the hedge witch, that was kind of a lifeline for me because I was going insane. I was going crazy with these visions and not understanding. And now I was hearing stuff and seeing stuff that was just, from other worlds now, not just dead people. And then when I found them, life changed. And I found that there were women who were like me, and there were people like me. And this became my home and my tribe. And to this day, I go back there once a week just to ground. I
Oh,
go do readings there just to ground, not because I have to, not because I need to, because I love it at this little witchy store. And it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's run by a family of hereditary witches. And this is where I tell people I growed up. This is where I learned who I was as a woman, as well as an intuitive. And those, again, integrally tied, right?
yes,
If you look
truly.
at many of the cultures around the world, especially the African cultures, they revere their women as goddesses, as the head of the tribe when it comes to the feminine wiles and spirituality and intuition. They all have their seers who are usually
Hmm.
women.
Hmm.
And that's not to negate the men in any way, because they
Well,
have
of
their own.
course not. Yeah.
We need that balance, and God bless the men who were raised by beautiful women who understand women and who respect them. So for me, that was really the beginning, was finding them. And then I ended up, through magical circumstances, going to Guatemala, and I was in a mountain. And in this mountain, well, I was actually at a silent retreat, if you can imagine that. And because I can't,
Oh my
I didn't
gosh.
realize it was a
She
silent
was
retreat.
silent.
It was an accident. I didn't know it was a silent retreat. And so I get there, this woman, she hated me. The woman who ran this place hated me. But she took me up to up to the mountains where there was this medicine man. And I was expecting something like temple or beautiful home, because and it was a shanty town.
Mm.
And we went in, and I remember sitting there, and there was this great big iron door. And, it was literally like a movie. They kind of opened the thing and they closed it again. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die today. And I'm sitting there, and this little dog comes up to me. And I literally heard it say, "You're going to be all right. You're meant to be here." And then it took off. And I'm like, what the hell what just happened here? And when I went in and they took me into the ceremonial room, it was like out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, this massive sundial almost with a hole in the ceiling. And he put candles in my hand. He did ceremony, and I saw things in the fire. And he told me, he said, "You are going to talk to animals." And he said, "And you're going to make a difference in the world." And I thought he was on crack.
Yeah.
So I thought he was insane, because to me, there had to be a limit somewhere, right? Okay, dead people exist. Okay, I'm talking to dead people. That's fine. But this is now going beyond even my realm of understanding. So when I came home from Canada, there was a facility opening, and everybody was being very polite and signing their names in books and things. All right, I'm going to sign my name in a book. Week later, I get an email saying, "Don't forget, you have an animal communications course." So a friend of mine called me. She goes, "You're going?" I said, "No, I'm not going." She goes, "Oh yeah, you are." And she dragged me there. So I thought, I'm going to disprove it. I'm going to debunk this. That is what I am going to do. And by the end of that weekend, I was signed up for the advanced course. And through, crazy things, I ended up working at that little store. And I've been there now, almost 15, 16 years on and off. And I've been doing this for 25 years now, so it's a crazy, insane journey that has brought me to this beautiful podcast today.
Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. So there's a ton I would love to unpack in all of that, but that will have to be for another podcast. Because I would love to dive more into the specifics of all those things, but I want to focus maybe a little more broadly on how, with all of this understanding, how do you and wisdom and ability. How do you work in your sessions? How do you work in your shows? What is it? What is the process through which you do your
My
work?
my private sessions are very similar to my shows in that I allow spirit to come through first, and then I let my clients ask all the questions for a few reasons. One, because it establishes legitimacy. If somebody walks through the door and I'm already reading them, then they become more open, they become more flexible and more amiable to me going
Mhm.
deeper. But it also, and this is more important, it offers the opportunity for spirit to come through and speak, which they don't really have that opportunity. Like an animal, same thing. I always let the animal speak first because they've been waiting their whole lives to be able to communicate to their humans. And they have this UN translator, this ambassador here who can speak their language. And then I allow questions to come through. So my shows are very similar. I do shows with upwards of 400 people. And so what I will do in the first half of the show is I will allow spirit to guide me through the audience, and I will pinpoint a person. So I don't pinpoint a section. A lot of readers do that. I get an A and it's somewhere in this section. Okay, well, all right. For me, I can't handle that. So I will pinpoint someone and go, okay, I need you to stand up. What's your name? This is the information coming through for you. You have a grandmother here. Her name is Emily. She needs to talk to you because, there's a birthday coming up and da, 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 da. So if you look at John Edwards, who is, my favorite reader, a lot of my shows are formatted very similarly to his.
Mm-hmm.
And I love his specifics. So I've always tried to kind of work with more specifics and evidential mediumship than anything else. And as I go through ceremonies, because I do work with different cultures, they put me through ceremonies, my third eye is opening. And so it's now open to the point where the things I see are not only deep and specific, but they're fun and they're unique. I see people's past lives and they can validate those past lives, which is really neat. I had a man who has a dog who loves very dearly, and the dog was showing me a past life as a wolfhound in Scotland. And he looked at me and he started crying. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And he goes, "I have been obsessed with wolfhounds for the last 2 weeks." And I said, "Yeah, your dog has been needing to tell you about this past life that you two had because it was such a beautiful past life and getting you ready for this session."
Oh,
Right. So it's a really incredible experience to be able to hear from the animals, the creatures, the entities, the spirits, the ghosts, and then have the humans have all these questions based on that first half. It's just beautiful. And then in my
mm,
shows, we take our intermission and then they come back and then they get to ask their questions. So I turn it over to the audience and they'll put their hand up, and my celebrity host will usually come around and have a mic and they'll be able to ask their questions.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so great. That
And
just
we have so
so
much,
so oh
so
my
much.
God, of course you do. A blast. It's like a party.
Well, a
It's
lot of mediums are very serious, though. They're very, okay, be quiet. And I'm not. I really believe that the gods have a sense of humor. In fact, I
oh my
know
God,
they,
we are on the edge of every day, actually. So
right?
there's no preciousness here.
Right, right. So, yeah, so we have a really good time, laughter and joy, and just,
Oh
oh, we
yeah.
have a really good time. We have a,
Ah, it's so glorious. Well, I just can't wait to experience one of your shows in person, live, albeit the show at my own venue and your show in the Triad. That's going to be a blast. But I want to stay on this. You talked about other cultures and cultural edge walking. And as stated on your website, one of Angel's greatest gifts is her ability to connect cultures, which she has cultivated through her work with and training by many different medicine men and women over the past 15 years. What do you mean by this cultural joining? Speak
so
a little
I
bit
love
more about that.
Yeah, I love cultural magics. That's not
Mhm.
an actual coined term, but I'm like a magical historian. So I love going to different cultures and learning the mythologies and the magic. So the South Americans used to come here. The medicine people of Peru used to come to Canada, and it was really wonderful because I remember going my first time seeing them. And out of all the people that were there, they picked on me. And I felt so special and scared at the same time. They said, you have to come with us. And I said, okay. So for the next week that they were there, they went and did house clearings, and they did healing work. And I was privy to all of this. And they told me, they said, you need to go and do despachos. And I said, but that's appropriation. And they said, no, we don't have that. We are inviting you to do this. And I have yet to do it, by the way, because it's very complex and I'm very simple. So despachos are this beautiful ceremony of life, and you can get rid of stuff. So they have layers of things, candies for the gods and cotton and all these beautiful things to create, that are symbolic. And you put it on a white piece of paper, and then you put in the kintus, and the kintus are cocoa leaves, and they are connected, 3 kintus, with llama fat. So llama fat, llamas. And so we put our wishes and we put our things that we want to get rid of into this. And then we place these all into the despacho. When you have a group of people, it's beautiful. It looks beautiful. You can see these on the internet. You can look up despacho. And then you put it in the fire, and the condor comes, and you turn away from it, and you let the condor eat, and it eats away all the negativity, all the stuff that doesn't need to be there. And it takes all the messages and up to spirit. So when I go to different cultures, I learn different things. And so because I learned these things, I'm able to share them with my audiences, their teachings. And like one of my favorite teachings, and I mean, this should be common sense to us, is life is as easy or complex as we make it, right? You can take the hard path, you can take the easy path, you can be light, which is the sumi, or the hucha, which is the heavy, and that's your choice in this lifetime. And so there are many teachings, and it's amazing how you can learn. I mean, I've worked with the Irish culture, and they're just fun people, and they have their wee folk, and they have the bread and the milk that they put out for their fairies. And that's something I never believed in until I met this strange, odd, beautiful little girl who was in Joseph's class. And I was looking at a tree in her house, and it was nighttime, and it was in the window. And she goes, "You see them, don't you?" And it was creepy. And it was like, really? And I'm looking at her, she goes, "See them, don't you?" And I'm like,
I'm in a movie.
yeah, she goes, "They're there." She goes, "The blue one and the pink one." And then she tilts her head. She goes, "And the yellow one." And I'm like, okay, she's zoned out, but I'm in a horror flick right now. And
I love this.
and so we talked about it. And that was the day that I started to believe in fairies, because again, there has to be a limit somewhere, right?
No,
She
maybe
challenged
not.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she challenged that limit. And I love that. I love being challenged. I love people who challenge those limitations, because even now, after 25 years, I still have moments of, yeah, well, prove it to me.
Yeah.
Right. Prove it to me, because I'm an eternal skeptic, because at one point I didn't believe in any of this. I didn't want to believe in any of it. I was taught not to believe in any of it.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's that mentality that probably is what's so attractive to everyone that is attracted to you and your work. I mean, that is the quintessential edge of every day. I mean, I think we all are like the logical and the patriarchal understanding and the put downness of magic and intuition and all of the quote unquote feminine goddess capabilities, put all that down and revere the more rational and logical. And as you mentioned, there's a need for balance. There is a desire and a want for the balance of all of that, and you are a walking example of that with your modicum of skepticism, but also your incredible gifts.
And I think it's important to have that skepticism, because it keeps us real. And that's what
Sure.
I love skeptics, right? These are amazing conversations I have with skeptics, because not only do they challenge me, but I challenge them. And by the end, we find this beautiful middle ground. It's amazing. And
well, oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, you were talking about that whole patriarchal, monochromatic idea of what God is, and the feminine divine as we need it. We're now in the tree of life. Like if you think of a tree, look at a tree. We were in the tree of knowledge for thousands of years. And just recently, in the last 6 years, in this lifetime, it's turned. And we're now in that tree of life. And in the tree of life now, it's rebalancing the masculine and the feminine. It's not just about feminine divine anymore. It's about that
No, yeah,
balance. And
indeed.
it's quite beautiful that we get to live in this time. And we're seeing it in our children.
Yes. Well, you and I have said, I say this to everyone, but you and I have talked about this, that we've incarnated for this particular party at this particular time on Earth, this rebalancing. It's so such a gift, such a gift. And yes, okay. So we're gonna clearly need to go over just a little bit. I want you to talk about your paranormal investigations.
Oh boy. Yeah. So I am on
Now,
a parent.
and before you get into it, if you can, not too long, because I also want to touch upon how all of us can develop our intuitive gifts for
Oh,
dealing with our ragged edges in today's
okay.
world.
I can make that really, really simple. Follow your feel.
Yeah.
Follow your feel, because that's really what this work is about. You can take every class there is to take, and you can watch every TV show you want to watch. But the reality is this work is this calling is based in how you feel. And when you trust that intuition, when you trust that niggling in the back of your head or in your stomach or in your gut, whatever you want to call it, even, it doesn't even matter. You're going to start to see that you will get information, and you don't even need to know where. Like, I don't even ask, I don't even care anymore. As long as it's of the light, I say thank you. It's like, okay, I get this information, boom, this is where it comes from. The only difference, the thing I always teach is listen, dismiss nothing. But this is the hard part: act on it. Right? Have the courage to act on it. The only difference between me and anybody else is that I have that courage to be not only acting on the information I get, but to be on air doing it, to have that vulnerability to be on stage going, okay, here I am. Throw what you have at me. That's all good, because I have a gift for you. And so that courage in the end is always revealed. Right. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. It's okay. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, just be wrong, because the reality is that even in that wrongness, you're going to learn, okay, well, that didn't feel right anyway in my gut. So was I really listening to my gut, or was I listening to my head? Right. And eventually you will learn.
Oh, beautiful. So beautiful. So perfect for growing your intuitive gifts, but so perfect for life, period.
Right.
That's
But that's what it
complete and
is.
right. It's all one and the same, people.
Right.
All
This
one
is
and the
an
same.
innate part of who we are. It's a natural
A
part of who we are.
birthright.
Exactly. And you said that earlier, and that was brilliant, because the reality is as human beings, we have the logical part of us and we have the intuitive part of us. And, I've seen people who lean so much on one side or the other,
Right.
and that's as much of an imbalance as the logical.
Yeah.
And it makes for a very difficult and challenging life.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, paranormal investigations. So interesting. Like, ooh, baby.
Yeah, so I'm really fortunate in that I belong to a really wonderful team that believes that technology and spirituality have to work hand in hand, because majority of paranormal teams do not believe that. It's technology or spirituality. And so I belong to Canadian Paranormal Investigations. We're a national team. We go pretty much everywhere that we're called to. We've run into some really creepy stuff, but I've also had the privilege of being asked to work for a night with a team in New Orleans when I was there. And that was the New Orleans Paranormal Society, and they're just brilliant. And I learn something every time I go out on an investigation or a hunt. And it's a really, every experience is unique. Every house is unique. Every location is unique. I think one of the most unique ones we had was we have the exhibition stadium here, or exhibition place here. And it's where in World War II, our soldiers were deployed to Europe. And so in the turn of the century, or from like World War I, World War II, and even before that, because it was many things before that, we had the privilege as a team to be one of the only teams ever to go in. And so we were looking at, the soldiers, and we were connecting to them, and it was a public event, and we brought these people in, and all of a sudden, as a communicator, I'm like, well, wait a second, what about the dogs and the goats And oh yeah, the rats who lived in the stables. And it just opened our minds up to so much more. So that was very poignant because we did a lot of healing work with these soldiers. We heard a lot of stories, and we have what's called, we have technology. So we have a spirit box and we have an SLS camera. And the SLS camera, that's how I got into it. I was standing with the team. I was invited one night and I went, oh, I'm bored. I'll have whatever, I'll come. And I'm standing there and I saw this ghost coming down the stairs, and he had the SLS camera. And as it was coming down the stairs, it was on the SLS camera. And the SLS camera registers it as a stick person. It was phenomenal. The technology was validating my experience. And so then I was introduced to my favorite thing, which is the spirit box. And the spirit box actually, you can hear, because of how, I don't know how it's set up. I'm not a techie. That's more Glenn's thing, and Patricia's thing on the team. And how it's set up is that because it's at a certain frequency, you can actually hear the voices of the ghosts. And so a lot of people go, well, what if it's a radio station? I would buy that if it wasn't correlating and actually having a conversation with me. So at the Horse Palace, before we ended the night, we'd been there for the weekend. Everybody was very tired. And the bartender, the dead bartender, literally, he almost slid a drink into my hand and I could feel it. And I remember hearing, raise a glass to us, raise a glass to us. So I stopped everyone and said, look, I know this might sound a little weird to you, but we've been here for the weekend. Let's thank them. Let's thank the soldiers and the nurses and everybody, the animals who are here, for their dedication, for being here, for being open with us. And everybody raised their glass. And as soon as we did that, we heard from the spirit box voices going, thank you. Thank you. And then we heard, we love you. And it was like tears everywhere. Like, it was just, even me, I'm sitting there going, did this just happen? Like, did I just lead this toast and bridge the worlds in this way? Like, it was so healing, you know?
Yeah, I can.
So
Oh, my Lord.
a lot of paranormal teams, when you see them on TV, they're there for what we call the jump. And the jump is, oh my God, did you see that demon? Did you see that? So when you
Sure.
watch this on TV, they're always looking for the lower energies and
Yeah,
entities.
totally.
With our team, we're a little bit different. We go in to do healing work. So you'll not find a lot of stuff online for us, because a lot of it's very private,
Yeah.
right? Where they help people.
It's not
And
gotcha. It's not clickbait.
right, you got it. And that's really important to know as well, because there are different types of teams out there. And, New Orleans Paranormal is definitely one of those teams like us that I absolutely admire and love. So I'm very
Oh, love
able to.
this. The bridge building, the raising the toast. That's a beautiful way for us to come to a close with this incredible conversation with Angel Morgan. So let's review. Angel Morgan is coming on her 25th anniversary tour to celebrate her immense success and enormous ability and skill and service to the world. She's coming to the United States. She is making her US debut, and I get to brag and say that it's going to really start at the Plum in the Catskill Mountains. The Plum at Traver Hollow House on June 1st. 6:30 for pre-show stuff, 7 p.m. for the show. You've heard all about how she likes to work her shows. Come, run, don't walk, get your tickets. Then the following Friday, that's a Saturday night, the following Friday night, June 7th at 7 p.m. at the Triad Theater on 72nd Street, just off Broadway. The wonderful theater there. You can get tickets to both of those events and read all about Angel and all of the other things that she does at raisingenergy.com. She also has live Instagrams. You can find, you're on LinkedIn as well. I mean, you're kind of on all of the things, yes?
Yeah, I'm on all socials and it's all at Raising Energy.
At Raising Energy. Great. And her lives on Instagram are fantastic.
Yeah, I do live free readings there. So that's a lot of fun. So follow.
Follow. Okay. So we've got anything else you need to plug? Oh, that you're going to be, no, it's May 15th. That will have happened already. Yes, May 15th. So by the way, it's happy May 15th. It's Mental Health Month and Be Kind to Animal Month. How apropos for you.
How?
Apropos, it's Be Kind to Animals Month and mental health. Yes, mental. I thought I had a special day for the 15th too, but not a special thing on the day other than it's Angel Morgan on the edge of every day.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much for sharing your incredible wisdom and service and love and brilliance on the edge of every day. I'm so grateful you're here. On behalf of my listeners, I thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I have loved every second of being here, and I love you so much. You're so awesome. And you're actually the reason I'm even doing any of this, because you're the one who said, I know this booking agent. I go and do it. Come on, Angel. I don't know. Go and do it, Angel. So this is all your fault. This is all.
Complete. It's all my fault. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. It's all my fault. Well, thank you again, my friend. I love you. And thank you for sharing. And for all of my listeners out there, remember, you can also follow me at Sandra Bargman. You can also follow The Plum at at Hollow House at the website is theplumth2.com. And Instagram is at theplum at th2 live, and you'll be able to see all the happenings and follow all the plum responses to the glorious Angel Morgan. And last but not least, dear listeners, remember, you are always at the edge of the miraculous. So till we speak again, take good care.